before there were fences, before there were screams, before the world mistook awe for wisdom, there was only a page, a printed warning, a quiet voice saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Welcome to the Deep Dive. So today, this isn't like a nostalgia tour, right? Yeah. This is an excavation. We're digging deep into the layers of ethics, entertainment, and, well, the relentless march of evolution as they're woven through one of the most iconic franchises of our time, Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. Because, as we'll unearth from our sources today, this saga, it was never simply about the movies or the book or even the games. It was always fundamentally a mirror, a looking glass reflecting humanity's deepest intentions, and more often than not, the unforeseen, chaotic consequences. Mm-hmm. For too long, maybe, we've been looking away from that reflection, captivated by the spectacle. Today, we turn right towards it and ask, what do we truly see when we finally look? What does this story really reveal about us?
It's such a profound starting point, isn't it? That initial warning almost whispered, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And our deep dive today is exactly that exploration, that delicate, often unseen border between human ambition and the unfolding, sometimes chaotic reality of its impact.
Right.
We're going to trace this narrative, not just chronologically, but philosophically. From Michael Crichton's original novel, The Genesis of this powerful warning, through Hollywood's grand spectacles and cinematic mutations, into the evolving control narratives of the gaming world. And finally, into the audience's own reflective interpretations and actually some surprising counter-narratives that pop up.
Okay.
And woven throughout this whole journey, you'll find this subtle, persistent whisper of chaos theory. It sort of haunts and unfolds in the background.
Yeah, that idea where tiny changes have huge effects.
Exactly. It's that idea, the butterfly flapping its wings, leading to massive, unpredictable outcomes. It's never shouted in the films or even the games, really, but it's always there, a quiet rhythm reminding us of the inherent limits of our understanding, just patiently waiting for us to notice.
Okay, let's begin our excavation right at the bedrock, at the source itself. 1990, Michael Crichton releases Jurassic Park, the novel. Now, for many of us, that probably conjures immediate images, right? Thrilling escapes, kids hiding from raptors, the Jeep chase.
Oh, yeah, the classic scenes.
But what really struck me in Crichton's novel, and what this deep dive pulls out, is how profoundly modern its core DNA was, even though it was wrapped in dinosaurs. Our sources powerfully frame it. This wasn't just a techno-thriller or simple sci-fi. It was fundamentally a cautionary tale in the language of dinosaurs. Think about that phrasing.
That's brilliant, using the awe, the visceral power of these giants to deliver a very human message.
Exactly. Yeah. A warning that transcends the creatures themselves. The actual DNA of the novel, it wasn't prehistoric. It was this potent cocktail of contemporary human failings.
Right.
You had that relentless drive of corporate greed, engine, wanting profit, not just from tickets, but weaponizing this stuff.
The potential was huge commercially.
Then there was the scientific overreach. Scientists so consumed by the how, they forgot to ask why. Pushing boundaries with no foresight, convinced their models could contain anything.
Like hubris, yeah.
And overarching it all was this grand, almost comical delusion of human mastery over nature, what our sources call the myth of control. You see it in every line of code, every planned enclosure in the book.
The belief that they could truly manage it all.
And then amidst all this ambition and arrogance, you have Ian Malcolm, the chaos mathematician in black. He's like the novel's philosophical core, almost a Greek chorus of dread.
It really is.
He's constantly reminding everyone with these stark truths that the world is not a machine. It's complex, dynamic,
unpredictable.
He foresaw the collapse because he understood that inherent unpredictability of life itself. And yet, despite these explicit warnings woven into every chapter, something fascinating and maybe a little sad happened, right? We, the audience, fell in love with the machines anyway. Sure. We got captivated by the spectacle, often missing the profound subtext, eagerly anticipating the dinosaurs while overlooking the fatal flaws in their creation.
It's a really key insight that Crichton never set out to write just monsters. He wrote metaphors.
Right.
The dinosaurs in his novel, they were never really the villains, were they? They were just nature, unleashed. Powerful, yes, but fundamentally neutral, just reacting to this unnatural situation they were forced into.
So the real culprits were?
The real culprits, as this deep dive clarifies, were the humans, or maybe more accurately, the systems we built, the illusions we believed in. That's a crucial distinction. Crichton's genius was using that visceral thrill of dinosaurs to expose these very human flaws or blind spots about complexity and unpredictability.
That makes sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about a serious scientific text like The Complete Dinosaur. Anyone really into paleo knows this book.
Yeah, it's dense, academic.
Exactly. It's rigorous, not a thrilling story. It's filled with messy, incomplete, fragmentary fossils. A single hip bone here, some skull fragments there, speculation based on, actual fossil evidence like scratch marks or gut contents.
Right. Pieces of a puzzle.
What does a book like that teach you?
It teaches humility. It teaches science as this painstaking process of gathering tiny, often ambiguous clues to build an incomplete, always evolving picture.
Patience.
And patience, exactly. It teaches evolution as this slow, deliberate unfolding over millions of years, not something you conjure up in a lab overnight.
Okay.
And that, I think, is what Crichton knew implicitly. He had this grounding in real scientific understanding, a respect for nature's complexity. And it's precisely that humility, that patience, that understanding of the unfathomable slowness of natural processes that we, maybe as a society, collectively forgot as the Jurassic Park story mutated.
Crichton's whole intent was to relentlessly question the why. Why should we do this? What are the ethical implications? What's the inherent danger in this hubris? It wasn't just about the how of the genetic engineering.
And that why got lost.
That crucial why is the distinction that often gets blurred or even lost entirely in the rush for spectacle. And that fundamentally altered how the narrative evolved later on.
Which leads us directly to the cinematic shift, right?
Yeah.
That move from dread to wonder. Just 3 years later, 1993, Spielberg's film lands, a true cinematic landmark.
Absolutely. Changed everything.
But it took Crichton's stark warning and, mutated it, didn't it?
Yeah.
The film was undeniably softer ethically. There was significantly more wonder, less dread. You felt the awe more than the terror, perhaps.
Definitely more awe in the beginning.
And think about John Hammond himself. In the novel, he's this cynical profiteer driven by pure commercial ambition, almost villainous in his disregard for life, dismissive, cruel even.
Pretty unlikable in the book.
But in Spielberg's film, he becomes this endearing, almost grandfatherly figure, a benevolent dreamer who just wanted to share his creations.
Yeah, Richard Attenborough's performance really sold that.
That shift alone, profiteer to dreamer, profoundly altered the narrative's ethical weight. It made the park seem, knowable, maybe, flawed, yes, but not fundamentally corrupt like in the book.
Less like an ethical transgression, more like a dream gone wrong.
And then there's the ending of the film. It's distinctly hopeful, isn't it? The children were saved, lessons were maybe learned, they fly off into the sunset.
Right, a sense of resolution.
Which is such a stark contrast to the novel's ending. That's ambiguous, uneasy, the danger isn't contained, the park is destroyed. Crichton leaves you feeling that the problem is far from over.
Yeah, the book has a much darker, more lingering feel at the end.
So the film wraps things up neatly, almost reassuringly. And the implications of that cinematic success, while making it a beloved classic, are huge. Did this brilliant, captivating film inadvertently dilute the original warning? Did it make us fall in love with the idea of Jurassic Park?
That's the question, isn't it?
Paving the way for more mutations, where the warnings got fainter and fainter, almost drowned out by the spectacle.
It's a fascinating artistic interpretation, and it absolutely shifted the story's center of gravity. Crichton's novel was this sharp critique of control, of ambition. The film, while thrilling and groundbreaking visually, leaned much more into survival and awe. It showcased the majesty, the excitement, the fear.
But maybe at the expense of the moral stuff.
Arguably, yeah. You have to wonder if that softening, that emphasis on wonder over dread, made the ethical questions less apparent to a mass audience. Did it sort of subconsciously prime us, prepare us for the very illusions Crichton warned against?
It highlights how entertainment, powerful as it is, can sometimes overshadow the deeper messages, right?
Definitely. The sheer awe of seeing that Brachiosaurus on screen for the first time, or the terror of the raptors in the kitchen, that became the primary experience.
The visceral feeling.
Exactly. The spectacle, in a way, became its own kind of illusion, distracting from the dangers and dilemmas it portrayed. It shifted the mirror away from human hubris, perhaps, and more towards the thrill of the escape.
And from the silver screen, the narrative then started evolving in a new medium, gaming.
Right.
Think back to those early adaptations like the SNES game or the DOS version. These games, just because of the technology and design back then, they were a huge reduction of the complex themes.
Oh yeah, very different experience.
These weren't games to make you ponder corporate greed or hubris. No, these were simple, almost brutally so. You're not here to ask questions. You're here to survive.
Run and shoot, basically.
Yeah. They distilled the whole ethical narrative down to just immediate visceral components. Dinosaurs became simplified enemies. Raptors as enemies. Dinos as obstacles. No DNA. No chaos theory. Just pixels and panic.
Yeah, pixels and panic sums it up perfectly.
The rich philosophical tapestry of the novel. Just stripped away. Leaving pure threat and reaction. You weren't observing a disaster driven by ambition. You were just trying to get out alive.
It really excised the novel's depth, didn't it? Reduced it to fight or flight. A testament to how different mediums can interpret and sometimes, yeah, diminish the original intent.
But then, fast forward, we get to modern gaming, specifically titles like Jurassic World Evolution, and the whole paradigm just flips, right?
Oh, completely. It's no longer just about survival. Now, the game puts you in this position where, as our discussion uncovered, now you're God.
You're building the park.
Exactly. The illusion of control really takes root here because you are the one wielding it. You're not just reacting to failures. You are the architect, the designer.
You're Hammond, but with a mouse and keyboard.
Pretty much. You design the ecosystem, the biomes, the paths. You decide how aggressive your raptors are, how contained. You modify genomes.
For profit and entertainment ratings.
Exactly. For explicit profit and entertainment value, you can literally breed dinosaurs with traits to maximize your park's income. It's a direct reflection of the greed and overreach Crichton warned about. But now you're doing it.
You're the CEO, the geneticist, the manager, all in one.
Right. And while you're playing this God role, tweaking life itself for fun and profit, you hear this voice, almost like a dying conscience in the background.
No.
Ian Malcolm. Jeff Goldblum's voice, serving as this continuous, haunting reminder, talking directly to you, the player. He says things with that unmistakable gravity, like, you didn't stop to think if you should.
Chilling.
He calls your beautiful park a lie. You're not building a park, you're building a lie. And maybe the most chilling line, you're resurrecting terror for people who've forgotten what it means. It's Crichton's voice, amplified, pointed right at the player, trying to pierce that intoxicating illusion of control the game itself provides, reminding you that your power is the danger.
And it gets even deeper in the sequel, Evolution 2, right?
Yeah. It does. The sense of control becomes almost absurd. You're managing injured dinosaurs with med teams sort of fixing what you broke instead of preventing the break.
Yeah.
You're cloning marine life in giant tanks, experimenting with desert biomes, pushing boundaries just for novelty. And you can even, astonishingly, give a stegosaurus higher pain tolerance.
A stego with higher pain tolerance. Wow.
Exactly. It's almost darkly funny. Like, we've mastered life, but let's make sure our entertainment asset can take a few more hits. Why do you do it? The game implies because. Why not?
The ultimate expression of unchecked power.
It really is. It's the player literally playing God, tweaking life's fundamental attributes for convenience or perceived betterment in the park.
Even with all that control.
Yes. Despite this seemingly limitless godlike control in the game, one stubborn truth, echoing Crichton, remains, according to our deep dive. And still, even in all that control, one thing remains true. They will break free.
The illusion shatters.
Always. It underscores the enduring illusion of human mastery. No matter how many fences, tweaked genes, alarms, the inherent chaos of nature, or maybe the flaw in our own hubris, finds a way.
Power outage, storm, stress, Dino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small failures ripple into catastrophe. This connects so profoundly to that fragile border between intention and consequence. Your intention is entertainment, but the consequence is inevitable, spectacular chaos, just like Malcolm always warned.
Okay, so from the gaming world, where we become the architects of control, we move into Hollywood's later creations. And this is where the franchise takes a really significant turn away from Crichton.
A huge departure.
This is where we get the hybrid dinosaurs. Not just resurrected creatures, but bioengineered chimeras. Our sources call them, chillingly, the beasts that Crichton never wrote but Hollywood did.
Yeah, this wasn't in the original DNA, so to speak.
This isn't just recreating the past. It's engineering entirely new life forms, driven by this thirst for escalating novelty and spectacle. A deliberate turn from the source code. Take the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World. Explicitly built for spectacle. Bigger, scarier, smarter than anything before. Described as white, enormous, brilliant, cruel,
A terrifying mosaic of DNA.
Right. Cuttlefish for camouflage, tree frogs for thermal regulation, velociraptors for intelligence, and its purpose.
Yeah.
Our analysis says no purpose, just power.
Engineered fear.
Exactly. A living testament to pushing boundaries without a moral compass, creating something just for the thrill of its destructive potential.
Then there's the Scorpius Rex, E750, from Camp Cretaceous. This one. It isn't spectacle, it's suffering. Described as body horror in the shape of a malformed prototype. Barely viable, breathless, twitching. A lab mistake. So unnatural and dangerous it was locked away until it inevitably escaped.
That's right.
And our deep dive reveals this chilling detail. She doesn't even roar like the others. She gasps like something that shouldn't exist.
Wow, that's disturbing.
It speaks to profound unnaturalness, a creature born of suffering and design flaws, highlighting the inherent cruelty in its creation and its very existence. Its breath is a testament to how wrong it is.
And finally, the Indoraptor from Fallen Kingdom, the D-Rex.
The ultimate commodification.
Yeah, purpose-built, weaponized, obedient, trainable, created for military use, designed not just to kill, but to be sold.
Sold.
To the highest bidder, in a cage, on a stage, in chains. This is life engineered purely as a product, a weapon, a commodity, stripped of any value beyond its destructive potential.
It's a grim progression.
When you trace that path from a quiet fossil bed to these bioengineered terrors for amusement or combat, it's clear we've come so far from the fossil bed. We've truly mutated the idea.
It's a profound and really telling shift, isn't it? Crichton gave us dinosaurs as symbols of nature's power, human hubris, consequences, chaos.
The metaphors.
But what we, through Hollywood's lens, gave ourselves later were not symbols of nature, but monsters in suits. These aren't natural. They're direct manifestations of our own anxieties, our appetite for spectacle, our tech overriding our ethics.
We hybridized our fears.
Exactly. Creating something not just powerful, but inherently flawed, almost suffering because of its unnatural origin and purpose. These hybrids embody that mix of hubris and thirst for entertainment, creating beings that shouldn't exist and reflect the ethical mess of their creation.
And connecting back to the complete dinosaur book.
Right. That text about real paleontology, patient science, it clarifies the distinction. Real dinosaurs were living beings, complex, brutal, fragile. They existed in their own ecosystems governed by natural evolution.
Not by human design.
Precisely. The hybrids. They're expressions of human design flaws, our ethical shortcomings. Their creation vividly illustrates what our deep dive calls hybrid ethics. This isn't just, can we create life? It's the ethical quagmire of creating life with pre-designed suffering, engineering beings for spectacle or weapons, giving them horrifying traits just because we can.
Do they have rights? Do they feel pain?
Exactly. These are the questions. Does consciousness arise in these engineered minds in ways we're too arrogant to consider? When does novelty or profit become a profound transgression against life itself? There's an emotional connection, a subtle tragedy in their existence, and it's undeniable. Every new hybrid, we stray further from Crichton's source code.
Further from the original warning.
Yeah. Each new monster reminds us how far we've drifted from the humility of discovery into the loud, reckless pursuit of control and profit with increasingly disturbing ethical implications.
But here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit hopeful, turning the mirror back on us, the audience. Something fascinating happened. Even as Hollywood pushed engineered biology on screen, the fandom resisted.
Oh, so?
On platforms like Reddit, TikTok, in fan fiction and lore communities, people started asking the deeper questions, actively engaging intellectually and ethically. You see fans posing these profound questions like, what if the Indoraptor hesitated because it recognized the child? Seeking empathy in a creature designed for destruction.
Trying to find a moral core.
Or hauntingly, what if Scorpius Rex was conscious of its own suffering, grappling with the ethical burden of creating a creature clearly in agony?
Wow.
These aren't just idle thoughts. They're deep questions about sentience, pain, the moral implications of these engineered lives. It's like the audience collectively was trying to find meaning, humanity, ethics in a narrative that had become mostly spectacle.
Like they were trying to re-inject the lost philosophy.
Exactly, as if Crichton's original warning was still resonating, prompting people to look beyond the monster and seek the uncomfortable truths.
That's where the emotional connection to hybrid ethics really hits home, and where the story reflects us most profoundly. That fan question, what if the hybrid narrative is just a metaphor for ourselves, creatures spliced by ambition and regret? That's incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
It's the audience projecting human complexities, our own internal conflicts, onto these fabricated monsters, seeking resonance, reflecting their own struggles with intention and consequence in narratives that tried to strip that away.
The human need for meaning.
It's powerful, even when spectacle tries to overwhelm it. Even in the most outlandish creations, we look for a piece of ourselves, a reflection of our own flawed, ambitious, often regretful nature.
And bringing it back to the complete dinosaur again.
Yes, back to that quiet, patient science. It reminds us, dinosaurs were not made for us. They were living beings, complex, brutal, fragile. They existed on their own terms, evolved over millennia, independent of human will. And this fan-driven questioning, this empathy for the hybrids, leads to that powerful closing thought from our sources. And maybe in the end, so are we.
Complex, brutal, fragile.
And certainly spliced by ambition and regret. It shows how a truly impactful story, even when simplified or mutated, can provoke profound thought. It highlights that human reflection and empathy can transcend even sensationalized narratives, finding quiet truths beneath the roar, drawing parallels to our own existence.
So after this incredible journey, this excavation from philosophical novel to cinematic landmark, to gaming god simulations, to bioengineered nightmares and audience counter-narratives, we have to circle back. Back to the core fear that started it all. It wasn't the dinosaurs. It was something inside us. As Michael Crichton himself said in a '93 interview, a quote, given real gravity by our sources, and it resonates so deeply today, the danger is not the dinosaur. The danger is the illusion of control. Let that sink in for a moment. The danger isn't the beast, but the hubris that believes it can tame the beast, master nature, predict the unpredictable.
The core warning.
And yet, throughout this whole franchise trajectory, what have we seen? Exactly what Crichton warned against. Control is what we, creators and consumers, keep trying to sell and keep buying into.
Yeah, it's the recurring theme.
We make the Indominus, thinking we can contain its power for profit. We build the Indoraptor, convinced we can weaponize and command it. We train the raptor.
Until it bites.
Until, inevitably, as the story always goes, as chaos theory quietly insists, it bites. The illusion shatters, chaos reasserts itself.
Every single time.
It's this recurring cycle, a persistent whisper we've consistently failed to truly hear, prioritizing our perceived mastery over genuine understanding.
And this leads us to a more contemplative conclusion, doesn't it? Reflecting on the narrative's enduring mirror. That relentless pursuit of control, whether in Ayla Nubler's labs, virtual game simulations, or the metaphorical systems in our own lives, it inevitably leads to the triumph of chaos.
Not always violently, but inevitably.
Exactly. Not a sudden victory, but a persistent unfolding. The water droplet, the tremor in the glass, the ripple effect from a small decision. Our deep dive concludes with this beautiful invitation from the sources. But if we listen closely to the chaos, to the fossils, to the fan echoes in the dark, we might still find the heartbeat.
The heartbeat.
Yeah. This heartbeat is the enduring truth. The philosophical insight lying patiently beneath the spectacle and ambition. It's the lesson of humility from the fossils, the ethical warnings in Crichton's prose, the empathetic questions from the audience.
They're still there.
Always there, waiting to be rediscovered. A quiet, persistent rhythm against the roar of our own creations. A reminder that genuine understanding comes not from dictating terms to nature, but from observing its intricate, unpredictable dance and accepting our place within it.
What an excavation this has been. We've seen how Jurassic Park evolved from this potent warning about greed, overreach, the myth of control, into something so far from its source code of caution, embracing spectacle and gaming power fantasies. Yet paradoxically, this very mutation spurred a deeper conversation among its audience, reminding us that even when stories stray, their core can still resonate. That core tension, human intention versus nature's consequence, the desire for control versus nature's reclamation, it remains at the heart of it all.
Absolutely.
So as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, consider this. What does it truly mean to understand chaos? Not just trying to control it. How do we recognize the profound difference between genuine awe for nature and that dangerous illusion of mastery? And how do the stories we tell and the ways they mutate over time reflect our own deepest fears, our grandest ambitions, and the consequences we so often overlook? Think about your own legacy, as the source puts it. Hold on to your legacy, not your illusion.
And perhaps remember that the whispers of chaos theory remind us. The most profound lessons often lie not in what we manage to create or control, but in what we fail to truly understand about the world around us, and, ultimately, about ourselves. Keep questioning, keep observing the subtle unfoldings of life, and always try to look beyond the immediate spectacle to find those quiet, enduring truths.